You've tuned in to Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Seems like we've been experiencing technical difficulties thanks to this matrix, this beast system that just doesn't want us to broadcast out there. Not sure if anybody's seeing this. It's very strange all of a sudden. It's like nobody's out there. Maybe they want you to watch the coronavirus task force. They're having their press conference right now. We might not be authorized to interfere with their broadcast. Oh, I see people in the chat. You guys are back. It's becoming more difficult. There's no choice but to hack ScrewTube and Fakebook and the like. But we were having a very wonderful discussion on freedom, liberty, the 4th of July. I think that's where we left off. They were canceling our 4th of July at the height of the epidemic. And people went and checked it out. They went to the hospitals and they're like, hey, what's going on? And there was nothing going on. Then all of a sudden, once the footage got out, they were like, oh, yeah, it looks like we're making a recovery. Things are getting better. Now check out this red, amber, and green phase. Seems like all of the countries are adopting this color scheme and these dates. So the New World Order says that by May 11th, travel will be possible, but discouraged. That's very nice. Very nice to see. Schools may reopen sometime by the end of May. And it doesn't look like people are going to get much of a summer vacation in the Imperial States of America this year. But most people don't get vacation anyways. How many of you get vacation? Anyone? But that's not important right now. So how's everybody doing out there? I think we're just going to sit here and chat with people. I mean, there's just no point in doing a broadcast right now. They've ruined it. But I'll tell you what, the broadcast that we managed to squeeze out, the one with Adam Kokesh, I mean, oh, what the fuck is the video guy doing? But I think the one that Kokesh, the video that we did with Kokesh there was, A-okay. That's good for publication. Check out that dude right there that's like shaking hands with Alex Jones there. The dude in the vest with, I don't know what kind of thing he's got around his neck, but it's freaky, man. Is it just me or am I being mean there? But look, I mean, people are drinking the water, they're eating the fast food. What do you expect? Is anybody out there? Hey, you got a question? Anybody got a question? Anybody want to have a conversation? Nobody? Nobody out there? All right, we'll switch the video. Look, we did 2 broadcasts today. So now we're just going to chill and hang out and play this footage the best we can here. Hacking the Matrix. Well, look, Alex Jones has, served his purpose. And there's a lot of things that you may like or may not like about him. I think everybody's got their own, point of view there. But it's nice to see everybody out there leading the charge against this New World Order. And I don't care, who you are at this stage, as long as you got what it takes to show up and participate. What software are we using right now? XSplit. And it used to be a lot better than it is now. It's just now it's like super glitchy. And nothing is stable in it. And I think it's like on purpose to make it more difficult. But it's a San Francisco company. PSYOP, what isn't a PSYOP out there? I see John Ross. I thought it was the real Ricky Ross out there. Is it a psyop? Of course it's a psyop. There's a lot of psyops. There's a lot of, hidden pitfalls here in this episode of the New World Order. And as far as we can tell right now, and this is just a theory, I think most people, all they have is theories when it comes to this virus. It's fairly new, and there really isn't a whole lot of, documented things. But it looks like the virus all by itself is, persistent yet mild, all by itself. And it's just kind of like with the hydroxychloroquine, you need some Zithromax to get it going. This virus needs, the death towers, and it needs air pollution to get going. And I don't know, I was watching a Band.video thing the day before yesterday, and it was pretty excellent actually on the vaccines. They had a moment, I'll give it to them. And I don't know how he ended up in the video feed, but there you go. What do you want? I'm not sure what the video guy's doing either. It's just extraordinary right now. We just got kicked off, and we're back. But we're not going to do another broadcast. We're just going to hang out with people in the audience here. So I want to say hi to Damn Oh Crazy. Why is it happening in a country where there is no 5G, brother? Well, it's happening, but not at the scale that we're seeing in other countries. And we've played the map, and you can see in the previous broadcast, it's really like the 5G districts that are getting it the worst. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't people getting it in other places, but it's mild in comparison. Now, there's probably going to be exceptions to the rule here. Again, this is just an observation based on what we're seeing out there. But if we're looking at cofactors, they talk about comorbidity, like diabetes and being overweight. But we feel that air pollution and EMF are big cofactors. Now, how is it in India? Is it really fucking bad, or is it just okay? Because it's really weird, because you got countries like Ecuador where it looks really bad, and then you got countries like Australia where it looks okay. And Australia was getting direct flights from Wuhan at the height of the epidemic, but Australia also had its name on, the Wuhan Institute of Virology documents. The smoking gun that we always put in the video description. And you've got, the research lab in Australia that's, with this virus. So we think that there's like hidden players here. Germany's had really low numbers in terms of, CFR and all that. So there's some anomalies that we've been looking at. And, you have to wonder, who's doing what right now. We're just piecing together the puzzle. We see John Hopkins, Bloomberg in there in the mix, Event 201, and, of course, other billionaires and other organizations. But, there's the Democrats obviously have a lot to gain through this, believe it or not. It looks like this was programmed by the New World Order back in 2016, payback for, Pizzagate, Pedogate, laughing at Hillary coughing. Who's coughing now, bitches? The entire world, basically. So, yeah, Trump is a globalist. It's still, New World Order out there, Skull and Bones versus Skull and Bones. They're still in control. And as much as people like Trump, and as much as he's been, a wonderful, business CEO of the corporate states of America, it isn't exactly what truthers were looking for. Truthers were looking for 9/11 truth, an end to fluoride, an end to vaccines, an end to death towers and chemtrails. We didn't get any of that. Big shout out to everybody out there in the audience. But, the left-right paradigm is just part of the control structure. And it's the PSYOP. As long as you're rooting for one of those people, then you're involved in their PSYOP. And they're in control. Because, you're voting for a puppet each and every time. The election is a sham. I mean, here you're going to vote for either Trump or creepy Biden that can't complete a sentence, that has no idea of what's really going on out there. And that's not his fault. I mean, his time has come. He's reached the end of the rope. So, but you would imagine with all of the people, with all of the talent, that this is the best that we can come up with. Shills each and every time. But I'll tell you what, the gene pool is, digressed considerably in our country over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, you look at movies in black and white. I mean, they're all like Shakespeare. They're all, super, literate, if you will. And people today, I mean, it's not at all the same mentality, not all the same IQ. So the gene pool has really kind of gone down, but look, that's besides the point. I think we could still find better than Trump or Biden to lead this country. And they're just not in it for humanity. It's like an alien invasion. And these people are literally, they live literally body snatched, puppets that are just out there as sentinels protecting, the takeover, the occupation. That's what it looks like. We've covered this in the Dark Matrix series, and we haven't done a lot of those, broadcasts in quite some time because we've been focused on this outbreak that has turned into a lockdown, a state of emergency, a medical martial law. Okay, going back to the comments, Operation Corona, Microsoft patent 0666. Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, look, they're all implicated. And, Google and Facebook and all of Silicon Valley. And the worst part is, everybody saw this coming. Nobody's really surprised. Ooh, look, they suspended your rights. Ooh, look, they all think they're Hitler now. All the governors and all the presidents of the world, New World Order. I mean, they're just loving this. This is like one big ritual sacrifice, one big orgy. The zombie apocalypse. It's everything, that you would want as an evildoer. So yeah, I mean, there's, it's clear that this is New World Order, plandemic, and they're out to exterminate you. And look, you give these people an inch, they'll take a mile. But they're just like every other demon. Their, entire purpose is to torture, torment, destroy, kill, rape. And if you tolerate, the zombies, then it gets worse. That's why it's really important that people, basically take their capitals back. And, in the old world, this is how it was done. You would sack, the capital, take it over and, and rebuild. So, want to say hi to Scroogle out there. Screw Google. Not sure what your first name is, bro, but much love out there. 28 days later, of course it is. We're still in that. It's actually, isn't it 28 weeks later? No, it's 28 weeks later. So we're just on week 7, 8, depending on which starting date, our outbreak or the Chinese outbreak. Society or the fabric of society falling apart. In India, not a surprise. I mean, I don't know how you people survive out there with 1.5 billion people in your country. I think we've all seen the footage. It's incredible. Let's see, what else do we got in the comments? People are hateful. Yeah, it's a whole different world. I mean, being a hater is a new sport. But it's also kind of like a natural response to the abuse out there. And there's only so much you can take. I mean, and I guess that's the point of the dark side. They really want to fill you full of negative emotions. And, when you're angry or sad, you're just not at 100%. So it makes everything more difficult. And it leads you astray. So, I mean, it's only a win for them if they get under your skin. But there really does come a point where, enough is enough. You know, they're grooming and molesting children everywhere in all the schools. They're running around, you know, inverting the world, two men plowing each other, death towers everywhere, spraying you like bugs. I mean, there's really only so much you can take. You know, they're suspending your rights. They want to kill America and turn it into the communist states of, you know, whatever. And I think there's really only so much you can take. I think that's probably like, you know, the red line for most people, turning America into communist China. But you would think the Pizzagate would have been enough. And we were almost there, you know, back in 2016, we were almost there with the WikiLeaks and everything. And then they buried it, you know. Trump came in, they buried the whole thing, they arrested Assange, they made him the pariah. And people were so in love with Trump, they're like, yeah, forget it. Yeah, forget Hillary, forget all the, you know, all the stuff that we learned in the Pizzagate. And that was a mistake, you know. And look, I think we know how we kind of got there. But it's important to never forget, just like 9/11. Never forget everything we've learned, everything we've gone through as a people since then. I'm not sure how many of you are Gen X, how many of you, you know, grew up in the 90s, graduated in the 90s, partied like it was 1999, ushered in, you know, the new millennium thinking, oh, wow, you know, we're going to Mars, bitches. And all of a sudden it was like, here comes 9/11, here comes Homeland Security, here comes the fucking Stasi, here comes the Patriot Act, there go your rights. And it's just like 1984, right? And we could all see it coming. And for some reason, we just kind of sat on it like it was no big deal. And that was a mistake. And when you tolerate, you know, these demons, when you tolerate these tyrants, it only gets worse. It's like, you know, you have a child molester in the neighborhood, and it's just one kid after another. And you just keep tolerating that stuff, you know, it's going to happen again. And this is why there's supposed to be a justice system, but we don't have that in our country. We've got, you know, this sold out system that just benefits, you know, the occupying force. It's a full-blown occupation in all branches of government, you know, and pretty much all aspects of corporate America, the media, the businesses. I mean, they own all the supplies, the infrastructure. And you know what I was thinking about, like, you know, seeing these protests is that, you know, all these people are getting dosed. Because around all the state capitals now, it's like, you know, antennas everywhere. It's like being at the core of the matrix. And you basically have to go out there now with like some kind of, you know, EMF blanket, really, if you don't want to get dosed. And most people are just kind of like, you know, adapting to it, like boiling frogs. And the people that don't adapt to it, they get the COVID. And they're dropping like flies, you know. Their immune systems are, you know, fading out, and all of a sudden they're getting, you know, pneumonia due to fungal infections. You know, we were talking about that in the news yesterday. What else we got in the comments, man? I really want to field questions. I really want to take calls, to be quite honest with you. Wrap your phone in tinfoil when you travel. What's up, Minneapolis, man? Sean, what you doing? Well, you know, the tinfoil only works like, you know, 50 to block out 50 or 70% of the EMF. Maybe if you've got like, you know, 100, you know, 100 layers of it. But the best thing is to pull out the battery. And that's why, you know, in the new smartphones, you can't even pull out the battery. I mean, they want to be able to dose you and track you and listen to you all the time. And Rob O'Neill, I don't know what's up with Rob O'Neill, but you're obviously a dumb shit. You know, this is like the most accurate news broadcast on air. This is why we always get, you know, silenced by the communists. Yeah, channel number like 50, more like it. And what else we got in the comments? People pool in money and buy waves to fight back. I mean, obviously, you know, you want to network with people out there. and you want to find like-minded people. And I think the best way to start is probably with the 5G. Start getting people together, start handing out flyers, and you'll meet people that are, willing to help, and, just start there. Stop the 5G, and you'll stop everything that comes after it. What else is out there? Want to say a big shout out to Loges out there. Jesus is Lord, John 14:6. Should check that out. Look at the news about weird stuff above Serbia and Bosnia. Whatever happened to the Balkans? That's another story. I don't think we have time for all of that. But there's all sorts of things going on out there. The Bible tells us that we're not alone, obviously. So, what else is walking amongst with us? It's hard to say, but it definitely looks like they're terraforming the planet. It looks like, they're trying to exterminate humanity. It looks like they live on the television. And, I don't think anybody should be surprised if it is aliens in the background, pulling the strings. But the Bible tells us that there is an invading force, an enemy force from another world that is trying to destroy humanity. And that, that's the army of the devil. And every army uses camouflage. And so if you want to describe this as they live, or the devil and the demons, fallen angels, we're dealing with, an evil that wants to wipe out humanity. And they're using, technology and soft kill weapons to do it. We basically have to doom ourselves. And we're doing it. People are doing it. They're just jumping off the cliff. Patent 666, yeah. Look, there's a 666 on everything you buy, on all the barcodes, on every product you buy, and it's only going to get worse. Experts' names, according to experts. Well, there's a lot of experts out there. We could name names, but you can see, the build-up to Civil War. And look, every time you turn on the television, it's so partisan. It's basically like a cold Civil War, and it's gone hot a few times. When they tried to kill a bunch of Republican lawmakers at a baseball game, and they tried to derail a GOP train, just a couple weeks after that. And you saw the Las Vegas Illuminati massacre. That was a bunch of Christians at the country festival there. And there's been a lot of targeted hits of churches, burning down churches, targeting Christians. It's a de facto civil war. Christians are being picked off. Patriots are being picked off. And, I think most people recognize that. Anybody that would shill and come on and say, experts' names like what Civil War must be from fucking, Japan or something. You know what I mean? He must be some kind of communist shill that's infiltrating, the chat. So I think that, we can probably ban all these shills anytime. They're moderators. And what else we got? The Talmudic systems, says the radical Greek. There's a lot of stories about the Greeks out there. And there's a lot of stories about those that would curse the chosen people. Ha 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 ha. Blessed are those that bless you, and cursed are those that curse you, is the curse. And I'll tell you what, the Talmud is like the catechism for Catholics. And it's, a set of books that, kind of supplements the, the Bible. And of course, we know what it says about the doctrine of men in the Gospels. But, look, it's important to understand where Christianity comes from, where, Jesus walked 2,000 years ago. And it wasn't in South Dakota. It wasn't in China. It wasn't in Africa. It was in the Promised Land. There's a reason for that. And in Matthew 1, chapter 1, it's all about the bridge between Abraham, King David, the exile in Babylon, and Jesus. So, they're reaffirming the Old Testament in Matthew 1, chapter 1. Go read it for yourself. The generations between Abraham and Jesus, right? Okay, then. So, while it's cute to be like, oh, the Jews did it, the Zionists did it, look, I think there's evil in every country. The armies of the devil are in every country. And as soon as you start just focusing on one group of people, you're missing the big picture. And, the synagogue of Satan was really about the anti-Christian, church of the devil, the flip side, the mirror image of what's good. And, that's the world we live in. It's a world of dualities. It's a world of light and dark, day and night, good and evil, up and down, hot and cold. That's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. And right now we are slaves. I mean, you look at the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, and we are slaves, right? And we should all be shouting, Pharaoh, let our people go. Right now we're all locked down, and we should be demanding our freedom back. And we've been going in this direction ever since, 9/11, perhaps sooner. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to debate when the decline of our civilization actually began. And, I would probably argue the 1960s. We saw JFK, MLK, the hippie revolution or the sex revolution, and, all of a sudden we went from the happy days, Leave It to Beaver, to, a bunch of, kind of like hippies on LSD hugging trees, and all of a sudden that became their religion, So the 60s were symbolically kind of like a bad time for humanity. And you saw, riots of 68 in just about every country as well. But, I think everybody's got their own opinion on when the decline of our society began. We're definitely, seeing it enter a new chapter. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And, watching these cell towers burn right now is probably, the best thing that we've heard of, during this whole lockdown, as well as seeing people kind of storm the capitals of their various states with, guns. And it's kind of like a warm-up or a wake-up call to what needs to happen next. We need to take this country back, and they're not going to give it up willingly. These shills that are in control of the FBI, of the courthouses, of the Congress, of the White House, they're not going to give it back. They like their little system where they present, two puppets and you just pick one. And as long as you pick one, they're in control. And as long as people think that the only thing for dinner is McDonald's and Burger King, then it's, these corporations that are in control. And I think we can do better. I know we can do better. But it's going to take some bold steps. And look, we can't just flip a switch and get it all done overnight. I think we have to kind of divide and conquer and kind of take out the worst of the worst and then kind of work on the rest. And we could sit here and talk about the long-term solution, including what needs to be done at schools and with the television and the movies and all of that, if we're going to re-educate our society back to where it was, morally speaking. But we're far from it. We're very far from it. And right now, we're in full lockdown. We're not even Americans anymore. The Constitution has been suspended, quite literally. They've invoked the Stafford Act. It's literally a medical martial law. And they've been trying to really kind of push it to the max. But citizens pulled through once again. They went to the hospitals. They exposed the fraud. They started burning down death towers. People started feeling better. The cases, all of a sudden disappeared. Now all of a sudden we're seeing our way out of the first wave. We're going to have ourselves, a fairly okay summer. And then we're going to be at it again next winter. And so people need to prepare. They need to position themselves this summer for, full winter of this shit and who knows what else. Including, the possibility of a creepy Biden and a return of the ultra-left at the White House with some kind of supermajority in the Congress. I mean, we should be prepared for a full-blown wipeout. I mean, this system is so rigged. So there's no telling what's going to happen between now and then. We'll just have to leave it there for this broadcast. This broadcast was, got chopped up into a few pieces. The first video in the series here that starts off with the Adam Kokesh speech was pretty magnificent. That's worth a watch. And after that, it just kind of turned into whatever this is. But we kind of just want to do a show on, taking our country back and the like. We'll be focusing on, the latest news tomorrow. You can check out our website for all of the updates, stfnreport.com. But right now, we're basically in this tail end of the first wave, and we're just waiting to get free, waiting to be set free so we can go back to work. And then the nightmare will begin. Then you'll start seeing people, dropping dead at work, undoubtedly. Things getting shut down. And then it's, people are going to start to panic. It's going to be like, when is this going to end? It'll end when people take down these death towers, for one. It'll end when we no longer have shills at the White House unleashing viruses on the American people. It'll end when we stop with this new world order and this, interconnected, world. Obviously, we can't trust other countries, to have direct flights. When's the next virus coming? How do we know they haven't been doing this every flu season for the past couple of years? In 2017, 2018, there's 100,000 people that died when it used to be like 15, 20,000 people that would die during a flu season. What happened there? So, you know what I mean? What else is in the comments? Was there a mass shooter? But yeah, there hasn't been as many Gladio B events since Trump took office. During the Obama days, it was like every month there was like a major shooting and they needed your guns. Now you know why they wanted your guns. This was in the works for quite some time. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Don't let them cancel the 4th of July. Keep fighting for your freedom. Freedom isn't free. And we'll catch everybody next time. Till then, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.